Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Salman. I'm a tech product and innovation expert based out of Bangkok, and I'm currently in the middle of reinventing my life. In this channel, I talk about personal transformation, taking it from my experience in the last 15 years, where I talk about my mistakes and the lessons learned, and how you can look into more of an opportunistic point of view and avoid those mistakes that I made so that you can accelerate your learning for a better future. Today, I want to talk about how volunteering changed my life, not just in my professional as well as in my personal life, making significant impacts into becoming the person that I've become today. As always, I'm going to put the timestamp in the description below, so feel free to jump into whichever the part you want to start first. With that, let's dive into it. Now, before I take you through as to how volunteering changed my life, it's important to understand what was the real definitional change that needed to take place in my own understanding of what volunteering is. Volunteering, when I was in my early days, in my primary and secondary school years, I rather had a very limited and narrow and shallow understanding of what volunteering is all about. I wasn't told properly maybe, or maybe I didn't comprehend the real definition of volunteering in the first place. I thought volunteering was a mere extracurricular activity that you have to do or get engaged so that you can impress your teachers and your parents, and also you get to write it in your resume or in your CV when you're applying for your schools or universities. I thought this was a way for me to find new friends, and if nothing goes on, it can still give you free food at the end of a hard work into volunteering. So that was how shallow I thought during those early school days. But regardless of the limited definition, I kept doing or being involved into volunteering. The one thing that I really liked about it was that I was being able to share and also hear from others who are also from the receiving side of what I was sharing with them. And that led me to really continue to do this even till my university years, and really heavily engaging into different types of volunteering, different types of projects, different types of community work, or work that were absolutely without any pay, but just giving my valuable time to really go and learn about things that could help someone else in the picture. And as a result of that, in my third or fourth year in my university, I got selected for an International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP, by the Department of State of the United States government to go to the US for over almost about a month's time to really learn and see how they perform and take volunteering and civic responsibility among their own neighbors in different cities. And at that visit was the defining moment in my life, because during that visit, after visiting United Way, Youth Corps, Habitat for Humanity, like many other organizations who were literally involved volunteering from a very early stage all the way to people who are retired in their 70s and 80s, fascinated me. And at one point, I asked this wonderful lady, she was in her 70s, that why is it that you're all so passionate about volunteering, and why do you really give your valuable time into this even in your retirement life? And the answer the lady gave me changed everything that I could ever imagine when it comes to volunteering. She said that if you think about the very birth of our own country, which is the United States of America, was actually possible because of people volunteering to reclaim what was theirs, and also being able to bring back the independence for their own land. They all volunteered to really fight for the independence, which eventually resulted in them getting the United States of America. And that was like a wow moment for me. I just realized that was so profound for me to realize that people gave their lives, people gave their everything in order to really find the independence of their own country, as what they call themselves as the United States of America. And at that very moment, I instantly connected the dot with my own country, which is Bangladesh, as to how people in my country, in the same manner, gave every single thing that they had to fight the independence and win our own liberation through a long period of time of a war that we were in. Now, that was the defining moment. That led me to realize that volunteering is not just a mere extracurricular activity or even to do something good for someone. It is much bigger, way larger than life, where you really devote yourself for the cause that is bigger than all of us. And To me, that probably is the biggest definition of volunteering that can there ever be. And since then, I kept making sure that my true north when it comes to volunteering was always doing it for the society, doing it for the greater good of people, of the community that I belong. And that is the only reason why I do what I do when it comes to volunteering. And this is going to help you to really see how I've taken the different steps in my life to really engage myself through volunteering to continue to live that definition that I learned at a rather later stage in life, which is during my university years. Now, let me walk you through very quickly a summary of my volunteering experiences once I had a new definition and a bigger purpose to the whole idea of volunteering when I came back from the United States. So once I came back, I started really going back to the community, working in the slum on the education space for the young children in the primary school level. I saw that these children were hardly having quality education and far from having the ability to really dream big for themselves while they were living within the limitation of life of the slum life. Then, because I was so passionate about education and to really help these children, instead of working the typical corporate job, I ended up taking a job at a very early stage NGO, which was starting to work with the young youth of the country and to really help them build the nation in the future. I joined them as a founding management team members. I ended up training the next generation of Bangladesh, who are some of the brightest young kids right now, making a big difference, not just in Bangladesh, beyond Bangladesh as well. At that organization, I established the first community service project, which now is the standard, and every single students are involved in the various community projects in that area. After finishing the community service and working for that NGO, I realized I didn't want to lose touch with those children, so I ended up creating a fundraising program using the same youth that was part of the program and raising funds for 11 children to get sponsored for the next 2 years to continue to help them stay in education as well. Because of my community service experience, I started feeling more strongly about my country, and I really wanted to do something bigger than just doing a community service in the field. I thought I had a higher calling, and at that very point in time, I ended up finding out about TEDx, which is a globally independently organized event of TED in each countries, was coming to Bangladesh for the first time. And at that very instant, I said, I want to volunteer. I want to give my time to help you organize your events, which eventually led me to become one of the core organizers who have been organizing the largest and the biggest TEDx in the country since 2012. Having worked in TEDx and giving amazing number of my valuable hours in life, I ended up actually using it to channel in helping promoting Bangladesh. At that point in time, Bangladesh was really not having quite a positive image because of the lack of communication and the media presence. My goal was to finding the hidden talents, creating a positive story around Bangladesh, which was always missing, and really creating a better narrative of what our life really was living in Bangladesh. Having worked in TEDx, I ended up meeting great people, which led me to also ended up volunteering into another project by Google when Google was launching a community initiative called Google Business Group, and they were launching these chapters in different countries. As they were entering Bangladesh, I became one of the co-founders of the Bangladesh chapter, which is called Google Business Group Dhaka, where I ended up working in help increasing the adoption of technology, in bringing the community together, in empowering startups, and pretty much pioneering the startup scene in Bangladesh that we see today really growing and accelerating at an unprecedented speed 8 to 10 years ago. Having worked in Google Business Group also led me to meet some amazing people in the process through all this volunteering and giving this countless hours, really helping people find what they were looking for. In this process, I also ended up landing a job by meeting a friend who was also heading the organization, which was the largest advertising technology company back home back then in 2012. And that led me to still continue to stay relevant into my work in the community, which eventually was very surprisingly enough for me to be identified by the World Economic Forum to be awarded as the first global shaper in the country. Had I not worked in all those years in the community, working in education with the slum kids, working in that NGO to help train the next generation of the community, working at TEDx to really help promote Bangladesh, working with Google to really help increase the adoption of technology and bringing the community together, I would not have been recommended to be the first global shaper in the country. And this thing kept getting only better and better as every time I needed to promote anything about Bangladesh, I got more hands coming from all directions with the support of the work that I was doing. This work with TEDx also eventually led me to getting a Gates scholarship to go to TED event, all expenses paid, in the United States, in San Francisco, to really be part of the great TED events, to really learn firsthand how they organize it, so that I can come back to the country to really give back again to the community where I belonged. And that brings me to the very end of this video, where I simply want to highlight some of the key benefits of volunteering and what exactly it really teaches us, in addition to simply having a great time being able to be part of a bigger picture. Volunteering teaches us kindness and humility. I think there's no other work that you can do that can teach you kindness the way it does when you are volunteering your time, your valuable hours, instead of giving it to your family or to yourself, but giving it to others. Volunteering teaches you also authenticity. When you're really going out there and trying to help people, if you're not authentic enough, then people on the receiving end will also see it. So there is no transaction here, but just pure service. So volunteering really teaches us the true meaning of authenticity that I didn't find anywhere else in my life. Volunteering also helps you become more grateful. When you really see that you actually are in a much better position in life compared to a lot of other people who are not as privileged as you are, you learn to be more grateful about the things that you have in your life. And I've become more grateful in life just simply by being able to volunteer in so many occasions. Volunteering also teaches us leadership and ownership. I think because of the volunteering, I learned that leadership is an activity, it's not a position. I realized that anyone can go into the community and take lead into driving change instead of waiting for someone to tell you or give you an authority or a position or a power to go and do it. And last but not the least, volunteering is also a global identity. Once a volunteer is always a volunteer to me. Someone who is a volunteer, he or she is not necessarily a good quality person to give back to the community into where they live. They can even go back anywhere in the world and travel and really give the same learning and the lessons and the quality of time to the people who need it the most. There are actually so many things you can do by volunteering that I cannot begin to emphasize, that you must find time in your own life as a service so that you can involve, despite your full-time job, despite your family life, a bit amount of your time into volunteering. If you are someone who is a university student, I highly recommend you keep aside some time into giving back to the community. If you are a corporate professional working in startup, make sure you keep aside some hours from your life every week, every month into giving back, however the form that is that you would like to give it. If you are even a parent and you have someone in your own family, your children, if you're watching this, please go and tell your kids to be involved more into volunteering instead of just simply on their PS4s or the Xboxes and in their computers and the smartphones. There's great opportunity for them if they're only doing learning how to do different types of skills, but if they don't also learn how to go back and give back to the community, there's a whole part of humanity might be just lost in the process of their upbringing. So that was a quick summary of my volunteering experience after I came back with a newfound definition of what volunteering meant to me, and really finding much more bigger purposes to how I engage myself into the community. If it wasn't for those series of events that I was involved after the office hours, spending countless hours into volunteering by giving back to the community, I wouldn't have learned many things that I learned in the life that I know today. I wouldn't have become the person that I'm today by all means, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet some of the most amazing people who eventually became my friends in this very life that I have, which I'm extremely grateful for. So I want to know how many of you are already involved into volunteering in the comment section below, and tell us what type of volunteering that you're already doing or have done in your life. Let me also know if you are inspired by this video to take on your volunteering journey in the comment section, and we can have a conversation about it as to how you can better engage into your community where it's more relevant to do the type of work that's most needed. I'm more than happy to share some of my ideas as to the type of volunteering you can do, so please go down in the comment section below and write and share with everyone in the community. With that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so that when the next video is up, you get notified. Until then, happy volunteering. I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.